Welcome to Abolishing Authority. I'm your host, Michael Freeman. I'm here to bring you completely uncensored Liberty Media content live every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. And you can find the final cuts on theconsciousresistance.com or the Conscious Resistance Facebook page. You can also find me at Michael Freeman on YouTube, or I now have a SoundCloud, podcast on podcastgarden.com, which, well, you can find at podcastgarden.com, or you can find it linked through my YouTube, my Facebook page, etc. So welcome to the program. We're going to go over some freedom stuff, get a little debaucherous, and just go no holds barred like we like to do here at Abolishing Authority. Last week we had Derek J. Freeman on the show for the very first episode titled No Victim, No Crime, and it was a blast. It went really well. So we're going to follow up and continue to do this as long as you clowns are going to watch. So this week we are joined by Ryan Westside and John Moss. So I'm going to give these clowns a sec to introduce themselves. I'm sure you guys are familiar with John, so we'll start with Weststein. What's up, man?
Hello, I'm Ryan Westside. I live in Central California. Prior military, really started getting involved in the whole voluntarist, freedom, I want no master type movement. Slowly but surely ended up at full anarcho-capitalist voluntarist probably like 5-6 months ago. But honestly, a lot of that was through Michael Freeman himself, and talks with him. Since me and this motherfucker have known each other since, what, like 07-ish, maybe 08, somewhere around there. So
Sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, I got into it through that and kind of just, like everybody else, engulfed myself, went down the rabbit hole, and here's where we are today with Freeman himself popping my broadcasting cherry. So cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I've known you for far too long, and we've really never done anything good together. So this should be a good time.
No, not
so,
at all.
John, what's shaking, bud?
I'm John Moss. I run the New Sons and Daughters of Liberty, and just like you go, I'm an average guy, just like you. I'm an anarchist. I'm an unschooler, agorist, and just fully believe in voluntarism and living a peaceful life.
Cheers. Right on. I'm not going to call myself an ordinary guy. I think I'm a little above that, but all right. So cool. Yeah, initially I plugged this show and titled it The State of Confusion. And I wanted to talk about the State of the Union address from last week that our, benevolent leader dictated down to us to gain our legitimization and consent of the governed, right? Because that's what I feel that the State of the Union is. I think that it's a way for the government to make them feel like, they have our consent and that we want to prescribe to their services. Where, well, I don't know about you guys, but I can speak for myself where that's just not the fucking case. So unfortunately, we got hit by a pretty big snowstorm up here, and I was unable to get to the library to print that off due to feet of snow. So we're going to cover something else, and I feel like it's pretty relevant. So before we get into it, Weststein, you're in California, so you're probably hanging out on the beach right now or something like that.
Well, since I don't live but 2 hours or so away from the beach, and I'm back in the valley in the mainland. It's been cold the last few days, but today the sun finally came out and it was like damn near 70. So sorry, dude.
Yeah, and John, you're right next door in Connecticut. How's the weather over there?
We're buried under 2 feet of this shit.
Yeah, it sucks.
So
right.
so me 2 feet, fucking 24 inches. It was like past my kneecaps.
Right. I watched my neighbor shoveling today, and yeah, I wasn't really going to help because like my landlord's supposed to do that, so contracts. And it was like up to her waist, and it's definitely not a good time. And I don't recommend traveling in it. I don't recommend going out there. But there was just something I want to touch on, that the governor of Rhode Island, and as far as I understand, also Connecticut and Massachusetts are passing, well, I think what they're calling it is executive orders, which are not illegal by these statist standards. Not that I buy into it, but illegal by their own standards. So they're making movement bans and preventing people from being able to travel due to the weather conditions, which, like, I kind of get. It kind of makes sense. Like, the roads aren't very safe. They're covered in feet of snow and ice, so you really shouldn't be going out there. But I think that's up to you. It's up to you to make that determination on your own. If you feel like you're capable of doing it, then do it. Even if you're not capable of doing it, then take the risk. It's your car. As far as I'm concerned, the roads are public, so they're your property, and it's your body, so I don't really see a problem. I just have something to read off first. Okay. So what Gina Raimundo had to say about it was, quote, "I want every person in Rhode Island to hear my voice. Stay off the roads after midnight." And this is from yesterday. "If you're on the roads after midnight, you're putting your life in danger, and you're endangering the lives of first responders, state police, and people trying to plow us out. Until I say otherwise, the executive order and the said ban excludes a number of groups, but will remain until I say otherwise." End quote. And that's from Gina Raimundo. And it actually sounds, on the surface, it sounds like they're trying to protect people. It sounds like they're trying to make ease for the public people who, sweep the roads, or the cops and whatnot. But when somebody passes a law, when somebody makes a prohibition against travel, what we're really talking about is the threat of murder. So the logic here, as far as I understand it, is the governor of Rhode Island is telling me that she will have the state murder me in order to keep me safe. And I got sick of that fucking argument before I finished saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, what do you guys think?
Here's my opinion on this whole thing. This is supposed to be, they're enacting this to keep you safe, correctly? I mean, that's the point. They don't want people on the roads. They want them to be safe. Now, if I was to go drive on the roads, police officer saw me, pulls me over, and I get out, and the guy goes and tries to tell me that you're not being safe, let me arrest you, I'm going to resist arrest for that one, and then you're putting my well-being in danger anyways. So we're going to make people safe by arresting them and threatening violence, is essentially what they're telling us, which to me is just a massive oxymoron.
Well, that's how the state does things. I would like to point out that I, in this case, would not resist. I call this a value judgment, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my life for a night in jail, or I don't know, the ticket that they give me, or I'm not really sure what the enforcement is, what the punishment is. But either way, that's not something that I'm willing to risk my life over. I'll do a night in jail. I've done it plenty of times. I'll do even a weekend. I'll probably even do a year. But I'm not going to die for, a couple hours in the.
Okay, you're probably true, and I probably wouldn't resist as in try and fight the guy, but I'm definitely going to be slightly belligerent if I'm out driving around in the snow. And I mean, not everybody in California drives a Prius. I have a huge lifted Tahoe that loves the snow and when I go up in the mountains. But I mean, I would be fine. In my opinion, them pulling me over would be pretty counterproductive, because I could actually be out there helping people, being able to drive through it and the shit that their Chargers can't drive through. You want to help pull somebody out? My truck can do it. You will get stuck. So if they're going to try and keep me safe, I'm probably safer in my vehicle than they are driving around talking on the phone and being on the computer, right?
Well, yeah, I agree with you, but it's all of no consequence, and the state doesn't give a fuck, to be quite honest. Like, they don't care what you drive. And if you were out there trying to help people, they'd probably slap you a fine for being unlicensed,
Right.
And what she says about fucking state police, like, I enjoy when they get in harm's way. I'm not advocating to go out and hurt them, and I don't advocate hurting anybody. Like, I don't initiate force ever. And I at the same time, like, you can't really initiate force against the state because they're always initiating force against you, so it's more of a defensive posture, but that's just another discussion for a whole episode. Like, same friggin' argument. Don't the police get paid because they put their lives on the line every day? So, if a cop has to deal with snow, I'm just not very fucking concerned. Like, they steal my shit all the fucking time. Why am I going to... I don't really have boo to say about them being in harm's way. I kind of appreciate it.
Well, I mean, when you make your living being an extortionist, you can't be surprised when people aren't shedding many tears for you putting yourself in harm's way, you know?
Cheers.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, so, side note, did you guys know that out here we get school and work canceled for fog?
I've lived in Texas. I know how it goes.
No, dude. Central Valley, California, like, we're fucking known for it here. It's where you could be driving down the road, and all of a sudden you can't see, like, 2 hash marks in front of the car, and it's just a white wall.
Yeah, Karen, my girlfriend freaking went to work today, and we have feet of snow outside. She has tomorrow off because this thing's supposed to go all night, so we'll see what happens. And you know what? That could actually chalk up to some of the connection problems that we're having here. And to the audience, I do apologize for that, but John and I we have feet of snow on us, so we're doing the best we can. So Weststein, what's that contraption you got in your hand?
This is a vapor pen.
A vapor pen? Because I have a vapor pen. And, you know, I'm using nitro, what am I trying to say? Vegetable glycerin mix. That's some nice organic vanilla flavor, and it's a great time, and it's tasty, and I haven't smoked a cigarette in over 100 hours, so it's going well so far.
Well,
yours looks different.
It is. This contains butane hash oil, or wax.
Can you explain what that is a little better?
I don't make it myself, but I know some people that do, and from what they've explained to me, you take up just regular marijuana bud. Generally, they use a mix of bud and the trimmings. Grind it all up as fine as you can. Put it into a huge test tube. Pack it down. Put a couple Folgers coffee filters over it, and at the bottom, rounded into the test tube, there's a small hole right there with all that bud packed in.
Are you talking about drugs?
Of course I am. Well, no, I don't consider.
But that's
a drug.
Well, I don't care what you consider. That's illegal.
Actually, in this state, it is completely legal.
Oh, you have a permission slip. Okay.
I do. I'm a terrible anarchist by paying for it, and I willfully admit that. It made me feel sad inside when I got it.
Dude, shit, I was about to tell you that I'm a welfare whore. We're both welfare whores. If getting a weed card from the government makes you a bad anarchist, you gotta get your fucking priorities straight, man.
You got a good one.
Yeah, that's cool. I can get there.
Anyways, since you cut me off like a douchebag, basically you're talking marijuana ground up. They pressurize some butane through it, try not to blow themselves up. And what you get out of it is this like crumbly peanut butter stuff that hits you like a ton of bricks. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have tried it before. I'm just a more simple guy. I just like the green stuff and lighting it on fire. I have my whole system, and I'm simple.
Forgive me, but
just not strong enough.
Hey guys, for Ryan.
This is actually more of a crumble one. It looks like kind of a peanut butter clay paste type stuff.
Okay. I tried shadow.
Yeah, same idea.
They're both wax.
Knocked me out.
They're both wax. Yeah, I didn't really get the effect that everybody else does. I don't know. And I know the person. I watched the person make it, and I know that this person is a freaking expert. Believe me, this person is a friggin' expert. I don't want to say. I just don't want to say more. Yeah, just not my speed. But cheers. Now, is it decriminalized there?
Yeah, it is.
Right
Pretty
here
much,
as well.
here, pretty much anything up to an ounce, even without your card, you're looking at like an $80 or $100 fine, something like that.
Right. It's basically like a municipal. It's not a criminal offense, right?
Right.
John, Connecticut.
Yeah, we're decriminalized here. Actually, if you can give me 2 seconds, I can pull up the exact laws. But from what I know, you're allowed up to a half an ounce. And I don't remember the fine. It's some kind of fine. There's no jail time. They treat it like a civil. It's a civil infraction. It's not even a misdemeanor.
Sure. Right. Exactly.
Same with ours.
Here as well, but I believe Rhode Island is up to an ounce. Yeah, you know, I can get the card in a snap. Um, I have. I mean, I was in the Army. They'll just give it to me for that. Like either way.
Pretty much.
Not the VA, but like a private doctor. But my thing is like, and I know we've had the conversation in private. But my thing is like, it's a fucking flower, man, and like, I don't like to ask the state for permission to begin with, but I'm certainly not going to ask their permission to fucking pick a plant and light it on fire. Some of the things like I might get a driver's license because if I don't, I'm looking at more serious things. But it's already decriminalized here, and shit, the most I usually buy is a quarter, so I don't really need to worry about that. I don't carry. I mean, even if I do carry stuff on me, it's like a gram. So
I was gonna say most of the time you're probably smoking in your own home. Like it's not like you're walking down Main Street torching a joint. You know what I mean? Like it's in your own home. And who's gonna catch you really if you're at like? What are you hanging out the windows with a joint in your mouth? I mean, I don't know.
I do it. I totally do. I'm not even lying. I will drive around town in my giant lifted truck, smoking a joint as I drive down the street.
So Ryan, can you what's your rationalization behind that? Because I know it kind of goes against your beliefs.
How so? What do you mean?
Begging the state for permission to utilize a plant.
I have a blended family, meaning I have a kid from a previous marriage. My wife has kids from a previous marriage, right? And
I know.
I want to keep smoking, and I don't want my son's mom or her baby daddy or whatever to start any government problems. And that's just kind of insurance against them raiding me for some stupid shit. Because here, CPS is legitimately a very terrorist organization, and I don't want to fuck those people.
I was under their custody for, I believe, I don't know, over 10 years. I'm well aware of the nefarious acts of DCYF, CPS, CFS, whatever your stupid fucking state calls it. I don't care.
I think there's a terrorist organization no matter where they are.
Well, I think that any government program is a terrorist organization. I mean, what I understand the word terrorism to mean is fear in order to forward political action. So, like the USPS is a fucking terrorist. I mean, shit, they are a terrorist organization. They have more guns than any of us. Did you guys catch the state of confusion? Oh, I mean the State of the Union.
I read the transcript later. I read through it and kind of saw what he said. I had no interest in watching it live and pausing every 4 seconds for everyone to clap for 2 minutes. So that's why I just read through it, just to see what kind of bullshit he decided to pass off this time.
John, did you?
Yeah, I tried. Last year I was still a big L. So I watched it last year, and I watched it last year with a lot of enthusiasm, and I watched it with somebody else who's irrelevant. We provided commentary on NSDL, and we had a big fun thing about it. So I'm like, all right, well now that I'm a full-blown anarchist, let's watch, see what happens. And I got through maybe 15 minutes of it, and it was so fucking nauseating. I literally had to turn it off. I couldn't stomach one more word.
I can't deny that it wasn't horribly entertaining. I like watching people lie, especially that particular salesman, because he's so good at it. But like I just know the game, so I'm not going to buy it.
Right.
I did when I first. I did read the transcript eventually, and I did watch the actual address eventually, and the stupid little pre-show parade, like walking through schools and all that good stuff, like just like Hitler having kids around all the time. But the first time that I actually watched it this year was on this stupid fucking podcast I watched called Some Garbage Podcast. This clown Chris Cantwell's show, right? Like 2 people watch it. I'm like the only person who watches this show. No, I'm kidding. Cantwell's a great guy. It's a great show. I had him on my podcast that I co-host, The Currency of Anarchy, about a month ago yesterday. But yeah, he did this podcast where him and Ademo Freeman, who's the founder of copblock.org, and this dude Rapture, who I know nothing about, they got all drunk and like watched it on air and kind of like did the mystery theater kind of commentary while it was going on, and I thought it was freaking hilarious, and it gave me an opportunity to bring myself up to speed with current events and get all drunk and laugh. So like, I found it entertaining, but you know, I just find that the State of the Union to be like just the government showing us how they have our consent, and like, you know, legitimizing themselves to the masses, like, hey, this is what we did last year, and like, this is what we're going to do this year that's in your best interest, like, you know. And then they throw up big notions like free college, and if you know anything about economics, you know that the government does not create anything, so there's nothing fucking free about it.
No.
Towards the end, he gets into this feelsy, like this story about this family, who was struggling during the economic recession, and you know, Obamacare ended up saving the day, and like, I don't know, I'm just sitting back like, well, motherfucker, if you didn't devalue the currency 97% and like spend all of my money or all of their money on bombs and bailing out fucking defunct companies, then, you know, maybe they'd be able to pay their rent, and I'm pretty sure that's your fault. So when you try to take credit for solving the problem that you created, I just kind of think you're a fucking clown, you know?
Yeah, I don't even think he's solving any problem. It's all theater, man. It's all a giant soap opera.
That's what I think. I still consider myself a libertarian, but I'm an anarchist. I don't do the state. Like, politics is my least favorite show. I don't watch it anymore. But I used to. I used to be all about Ron Paul, Justin Amash. Briefly, I liked Rand Paul, and you know, I just don't think. Yeah. I just don't think that a state solution is going to solve the problem. Like, if Ron Paul didn't get elected like 4 times, man, especially in 2012 when he had the biggest push that he's ever seen, or basically, as far as I'm concerned, that any presidential elect has ever seen, well, then I just think that politics is a fantasy, and you're not going to gain freedom through the state. Like, I'm not going to get rid of cancer by injecting myself with fucking cancer, you know?
Nope. That's what the whole thing comes down to, is being educational and getting yourself out there and trying to reach people and let them know that there is an alternative. There is a better way possible. All it needs is support, in my opinion. I mean, you have the two, I'm being generous here, 2,000 elite that are kind of over everything, give or take, right? And then you have the militaries, the police, and you know, down from there. Once you start getting people in the police and in the military that are realizing what's going on, that's when you can start to turn it. But it's just about getting support. It's about letting people realize that, no, I'm sorry, but everything you were taught is a fucking lie, and there is better ways than having government run your life. It's not all about heroes and military. Sorry, I kind of ranted. Go ahead, man.
No, I like ranting. That's the whole point, man. That's why we're doing this. Hey, we have a viewer now. I'm pretty sure I know who you are, and I fucking appreciate that. So I kind of agree with your sentiment, right? Like, the viewer's gone. That was quick. So I kind of agree with your sentiment. Like, spreading the message is a piece, is a chunk of it, is a part of diminishing the idea of authority, right? But that's not going to cut it. Like, I think there's a lot of things that need to come into play, like operating outside of the state and acting as if it doesn't exist because it does not. Like, trade freely, do not pay these scumbags. Like, to paraphrase Derek J., if Starbucks dropped bombs, would you buy coffee there? Because I wouldn't. But unfortunately, this is one of the things we can't exactly opt out of without, well, getting rid of it and just nipping the thing in the bud from the bottom down, or from the bottom up, I think. However, where I disagree with you, we're not going to wake up the military and the police, man. You know as well as I do that maybe I wouldn't have killed you, but I probably would have killed John's cousin for a badge or from some shiny shit on my chest when I was in the Army, and I think you would have too. And well, yeah, these people get paid by the state. Their benefits come from the state. They work for the state. They take orders from the state, and they're told not to disobey those orders, or basically, at best case scenario, they're going to be completely ostracized. So I would say there's quite an incentive for soldiers and police to, you know, operate how the state wants them to. And unfortunately, I think, I don't like to throw this word around, but I think it is utopian to think that you're going to wake up the cops or the troops. And when I say troops, I mean all across the board, whether it's the Navy or the IRS. I don't really care. Like whatever state agent, you know.
I got you. But I mean, in the same sense, though, nothing is going to change without at least some support in that sense. Because the people themselves, they can want anarchy, they can want free society, they can want libertarianism, they can want insert what have you. But as long as there's a ruling power that has a military the size the United States does, it's just not going to happen.
Well, see, that's where you're wrong. And I know you're a little newer to this than I am or John is, but it's happening every day, man. You have no. There are like, I get like 70 friend requests from people who just became anarchists every single day, right? And I know that sounds silly, it's just some Facebook notion, but if you see the progression that the internet has done and the extreme escalation of the principles of liberty and the ideas of freedom and consensual interaction, it would blow your mind how fast it's happening. Like, you just came to this idea yourself, right? You're a prime example of this. And the fact of the matter is it's happening every day. Right now, we are operating outside of the state. Is this being taxed? No. Is the state quelling this? No. Things like Bitcoin, things like gold and silver and direct barter, peer-to-peer interaction, open source technology, blockchain technology are changing the game. The state is dying. It is going away, and the only way that they're going to be able to stop that, and I'm afraid this is going to happen, and I don't want it to, is by killing hundreds and millions of people. And maybe that has to happen, maybe it doesn't. I would strongly prefer not. I don't like to fight. I don't like to run and jump. I've been in the Army, and that shit just sucks, man. I'd rather just lay in bed and smoke weed, to be honest.
Obviously.
Yeah, so you know, I don't know. I see. I just ranted and lost my train of thought, but I guess my point is I'm not very fucking optimistic for the future. I'm pretty sure that hundreds of millions of people are going to die before we achieve free society.
I completely agree. As much as I would like it to be done, you know, civilly and be done in a peaceful way, it's too big to fail that way. We'll say that, to use one of their good status lines.
Sure.
So,
what about you, John?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think it could happen to have a lot of bloodshed. One thing I want to add, though, as far as waking people up, especially military and police, is that it's tough to wake people up. People don't want to be woken up. They don't want to be rattled out of their shell. They just want to go to work. They want to go home, watch a little TV. They really don't want to think about things like the NDAA and Bitcoin and the Federal Reserve and all that. They have to go to it themselves. They have to have some spark in their brain and say, hey, maybe what's happening with my dollar? Why are all the prices going up? Why is gas fluctuating like crazy? Why is everything, you know, and it all comes together for them on their own. But yeah, to wrap it up, I think people are, it's tough. You can't really wake people up. They have to come to it.
One thing I do notice that I can say for troops, like, look at Ryan and I right now. We are both prior military. We fucking served together, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know, I tend to notice that a lot of veterans, after the fact, not in the service, but once they separate, really start to wake up. And I can talk shit about Ron Paul all day. I can praise Ron Paul all day. As far as I'm concerned, the dude was just a politician, so like I don't have an invested interest anymore. But what I can really give him credit for is the troops. Like, he had the biggest, he was the biggest name that troops in mass have ever supported, right? And there's merit there. Like, I probably wouldn't be an anarchist if not for Ron Paul. Like, yeah, I don't really buy into the playing the game thing. I don't buy into the closet anarchist doublespeak, but you know, there's credit there. And again, just like you and I can name seriously like 20 veterans right now who are, I don't call myself ANCAP, but who are thoroughbred ANCAPs, like down to the line. They understand their welfare horse. The troops are garbage and cause nothing but blowback and get paid through extortion. And yeah, you know, I just noticed that a lot of veterans are waking up. Like,
yeah, when it comes to the veteran thing, honestly, when you start waking up, it goes fast. I think we had a lot more insight into the more negative workings of the government, how everything, you know, is really handled military-wise and even politically-wise, we have a better understanding, I think, than most people. And I think once you start really waking up and start seeing the little stuff here, for me personally, it was the documentary Loose Change, I believe. I started looking into that, and I was just like, oh my God, yeah, I did not kill a bunch of terrorists because we were not hit by terrorists on September 11th. And that was the first big thing that opened my eyes. And then from there, like I said, it devolved over the span of about a year to a year and a half into just straight, you know, anarcho-capitalist. And I don't know if it happens that quick for some people. Like I said, for me it did. But I think as far as veterans, prior military goes, that kind of seems to be like the theme is about that time period where everything, went from being the pro-patriotism statist to the point you and I are at today, give or take, and I think we just have a better understanding, too, of wanting to be free, wanting to be left alone. That comes from, say, some of the shit that we did do over there that I'm not going to get into detail about on the show. But we really saw the bad side of government, the bad side of militaries, and I think it just put a sour taste in all of our mouths. And I think that's what is helping a lot of people wake up. If I'm making any sense at all right now, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really sour fucking taste, but I don't think that's particular or partial to veterans. Like, if the state doesn't give you a sour taste in your mouth, then you're just...
I'm saying we saw a worse part of it than most people, is what I'm saying.
Maybe, kind of. However...
It's hard to stay in that, good little patriotic American dream life at home bubble when you've been overseas, when you've trained like that.
Sure.
And I can say that for my family. It's like I've tried to open my own father's eyes, and he doesn't understand that the world is as terrible as I tell him it is. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe figures into it. It's just that we've seen the absolute worst side of government control.
Well, we've been government control.
Exactly.
To counterpoint or to play devil's advocate, I heard this argument like last week. I actually thought it sounded pretty good. While we were off being American freaking heroes or whatever these clowns think, and getting our heads filled with the fact that we were heroes and elites and all this freaking nonsense.
Daily.
Yeah. Kids like John were back here getting fucked in the ass by the state every single day, while we thought that we were like paid. I don't know, just crazy things that aren't real, right? So, I was away for 5-6 years or whatever, and during that time I was an agent of the state and I was benefiting from the extortion racket of the state, right? Where somebody like John was back here just getting bent over and having half of his income taken and having to force his daughter to go into government freaking indoctrination camps that are also known as schools. And
Hey, I paid taxes for freedom. Don't forget that.
So I guess we got to touch on it now. So John, you unschool your daughter. Can you?
I was going to bring this up too because I had the same question because I'm not completely familiar with it. So I really want to know what you have to say right now.
Yeah, I am familiar finally because I was not so keen on the idea at PorkFest last year when John told me about it. But that's another story for another time. Just for the people who aren't sure of what that means, John, could you just before you get into your practices and what you do, could you tell us what unschooling is?
Sure. Unschooling is basically school without school. You don't need an authority figure barking at 30 kids at the same time, teaching them all the same lesson at the same time at the same speed. It just doesn't work that way. What unschooling is schooling with no structure. There's no grades, there's no testing, there's no homework, there's no additional work, there's no curriculum that we follow. We use Khan Academy for math, but that's when my daughter feels like doing math. There's no pushing at all. And it is absolutely amazing how children will take their own education and put it in their own hands because kids are sponges, man. They want to learn everything. Everything they see you do, they want to learn how to do it. So my wife and I unschool, and everything is turned into a lesson. When I'm cooking breakfast in the kitchen, she comes right in with me. She works with me in the kitchen. She knows measuring cups and, things like that. When we go to the store, she learns about money, how to count money, how to spend money, how to save money.
Yuck.
Yeah, everything is a lesson. She had an awesome lesson on taxes. If I can go into that story, I'll be really quick.
Please do.
Last year she got a gift card to Walmart for her birthday. It had $10 on it. So I said, all right, well, I'll take you to Walmart, and you have $10 on this card. You can buy whatever you want. So we went there. We get to the toy aisle, and she's running up and down the aisles with whatever Barbies or the Disney princess dolls and shit like that.
Illuminati.
So she grabs a doll off the shelf, and it's $9.99. She has $10 on the gift card. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly where this is going. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll get this. All right, let's go up to the register. When the cashier said $10.69, please, my daughter looked at me like, what the fuck? Like, I thought this was $9.99. So we had a very interesting conversation on the way home about taxes and what taxes are. So now I have a 6-year-old who absolutely fucking despises taxes and wants to move to New Hampshire because there's no fucking taxes.
Right. And, she went to PorcFest, and, well, I'm sure you remember this very well. The first, 3 days, and you were there with me, it was a frigging monsoon. It was pouring rain the entire time. Our campsite was a marsh. It was like a swamp. Shoes were just out of the question. It was
it rained. I think I timed it. It rained like over 27 or 28 hours straight. Didn't let up one bit.
Right, and you, I, and Karen complained the whole time, and Marley never said boo once. She woke up.
What? Yeah, she woke up that one night. It was, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning or so, because it was raining so hard that it started leaking into the tent.
She wasn't even crying. She's like, yo, Dad, we got to fix this shit so I can go back to sleep. Like, if I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's water on me, I'm probably going to throw a tantrum and fucking cry, right?
Yeah, so, we got up, we moved the mattress, and she went right back to sleep, dude. 6 years old, this kid, for 5 days. And yeah, she is quite an anarchist now. I mean, that kid makes me look like a card-carrying status, for fuck's sake.
With your gun fucking registrations, you are, dude. Like this clown over here with this marijuana permission slip. Like, did your parents sign that for you, or?
They did. They totally did.
Yeah, my point here is, like, Marley's a good kid, and like, it would be a little inappropriate right now for me to just, like, yo, Marley, you wanna chill? Like, I can't really do that yet. Oh, God, I sound like Brad Spangler right now, don't I?
Michael Freeman also goes by Uncle McFeely.
No, but Marley's a cool kid. Like,
yeah, she is.
She's, we have this friend, Damon Fleming, who's going to be coming on my other show this month. He's 15 years old. He's the co-admin or one of the admins of the New Sons and Daughters of Liberty with John.
Yep.
That I started, by the way, but okay.
NSBL has the second admin, by the way, too. Just throwing that out there.
So this 15-year-old kid, Damon Fleming, I talked to, and, like, I hooked him up with some Bitcoins, like, last week, and he bought like $5, and he bought, like, a $3 round from AmagiMetals.com, who you guys should check out, by the way. You can buy with Bitcoin at a reduced rate, all online. They do precious metals, silver, Bitcoin, silver, gold, platinum, copper, whatever you're fancy. So check out AmagiMetals.com. But right, I hooked this kid up with Bitcoins last week, and he bought some silver, and he got all excited about it. And, like, when he's my age, when he's our age, like 27, 30, whatever.
That dude's going to be so far out there.
He's going to be a force, man. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But take that back a step and look at Marley, who's doing this now when she's 6 years old, and that bitch is going to fucking wreck this state all on her own, man. I shouldn't call your daughter a bitch, but I guess take that as a sign of respect, because I talk shit.
Bad respect on that one.
But she is. She's going to wreck the state, man, and she's going to wreck you guys when she's a teenager first, but once she gets over that...
Oh, you're fucked. You're so fucked.
I tell John and his wife this every chance I get, they're fucked, yeah.
she's a badass. But like, I think if you raise a child right, you really don't see a whole lot of that, you know, sneaking out of the house to go smoke crack and shit like that. Like,
well, she doesn't have to sneak out because you've been telling her whole life that she owns herself and she doesn't need permission to do anything that doesn't involve a victim. So, fuck your curfews, man.
but,
What do you mean? What do you mean I need to go to bed? What do you mean I can't date this person? I thought I owned myself, faggot. No, but I think you're right. Marley's a good kid, and like all jokes aside, I'm sure that when she's a teenager, she'll be far more responsible than I am, to say the least. And,
well, back to what you were saying, I really think that homeschooling and unschooling has a lot to do with that. Because I mean, you send your kids loose in these public school systems. I mean, all you guys listening at home, I mean, if you have kids in public schools, then you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you're sending your kid off to be raised by the state. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Your kid is going to spend more time in school than they will awake time with you. So
it's like a child version of sending a guy to jail for rehabilitation. It doesn't rehabilitate anything. It just makes him a harder criminal because he spends time with other criminals, and you know there's no rehabilitation.
Well, it makes them follow the rules really good.
Does it really? I mean, how many?
Okay,
people
fine.
go to jail, you know, repeat offenders.
Fine. It makes them believe. Fine. It makes them believe in the hallucination of authority real good.
I guess so.
John, I have one question though about unschooling.
Sure.
What are the laws like in Connecticut as far as that? Are you looking at like felony type shit with this, or are they kind of lenient about it?
No, believe it or not, and this is really hard to believe because Connecticut is so psychotically left on the
You're
spectrum.
talking to the kid in California right now, dude.
Yeah, yeah, all right. So you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Connecticut, as far as homeschooling goes, is really, really lax. It is very easy, and you pretty much don't have to do anything. Meanwhile, over in Rhode Island, there's all kinds of shit you got to do, paperwork and forms, and you have to get your kid tested.
Dude, I can't even drink milk here.
Well, you have to, you know, get your kid tested and all that. In Connecticut, all you have to do is write a letter to the school board, or the superintendent rather, saying I'm withdrawing my daughter and will be homeschooling according to statute X, Y, Z, whatever. And that's it. And then your kid is yours, and she just she stays home. And like I said, everything we do is a lesson. And this kid, I mean, she probably knows how to run a computer better than I do at this point. She's self-sufficient. She does everything on her own, and she's thriving.
Right, like, yeah. The process, I was very surprised by the process that John had to go through. It didn't really seem like a big deal. Like, from what I understand, he sent a letter to the school, and that was just, and then Marley stopped going there. That was just kind of about it. And I was under the impression there would be, like, you know, sanctions, like, hey, you need to bring her in for standardized testing at X time, or like, we need to come inspect your house and make sure there's not fucking heroin in her school books or something, or whatever excuse they're going to come up with to impede into your life, because that's just what the state does.
They're actually trying to. I'm not sure they're going to be very successful, but as far as I know, there's something floating around the legislation where they want to come and inspect your kid and all that. And my wife and I already agreed, like, fuck you, you're not inspecting our
Seriously.
kid.
Yeah, you're not coming into my fucking house. Who do you think you are? However, you know, if they're trying to push it, that leads me to believe that eventually it's going to happen. Like, they're going to try for a little while, and then they'll try in a bunch of different places for a little while, and then, you know, that's just kind of how that goes.
You see, the problem really is that, you know, for every voluntarist family like mine who say, yeah, this is a bad thing, you don't need to inspect our kid, get the fuck out of here. For every one of us, it seems that there's at least 5 to 10 statist families who are sitting around going, yeah, that's a good thing. They should get inspected. These damn kids need to learn something. They're not learning anything. Yeah, good thing.
Well, yeah.
And, you know, applaud the state intervention, and it's horrible.
You know, like you were saying earlier about spreading the message and waking people up and all this. Like, I'm kind of over that. Like, I've been nice, and I've been trying to do that for, like, John, what, 2 freaking years now, and, like...
Yeah.
It just isn't working, man. And I'm just coming to this realization, and like I really noticed, I solidified it this morning, and I don't want to get into why, but all these people want to fucking kill me, man. They all want to take my stuff and put me in a cage or kill me. All of them. Every nationalist, everybody who supports governments, right? Or at least this hour. Sorry, using my status words there. All these people who support the American government want me in a cage or dead or to take my stuff or to whip me publicly or for me to move to fucking Somalia. And I just can't do it anymore. I just can't abide it anymore. I have a fucking problem when people threaten me, right? Like, I don't have an over interest in being nice to you and pleasant with you if you threaten my fucking life. So I'm kind of done changing fucking hearts and minds. Like, if you want to invoke violence against me, I think you can go fuck yourself, you know? John, I know you want to jump in. Go ahead.
No, I just, I don't know. I mean, if it means alienating my friends and family, I'm not really too interested in it. But I mean, as far as like changing minds and stuff, I'm really not interested anymore. I run New Sons and Daughters of Liberty because I have fun doing it, and hopefully get to troll a few people while I'm at it. But as far as changing minds or anything, I'm just not interested anymore. I just want to have some fun.
Right?
Well, I guess I'm just not yet to that point. I'm still new enough to where I still think it's possible to change it by educating. And I'm a naive little bitch, I guess.
Lots of people think that, and lots of people think that who've been doing anarchy for a lot longer than I have. I'm just spent. I just can't fucking do it anymore myself.
I respect that.
I do podcasts and stuff, and all this crazy stuff I do is because, like, I love to hear myself talk. No, you know, I like to talk to people who are like-minded. I like to throw these ideas around and try to come up with solutions and alternatives to, you know, government violence. And what better way to do it than through discourse? But it's all good, man. You know, I just do this for fun. I like to talk. I like to talk to my friends. I like freedom stuff. And what better way to do this than when we have an audience? People can, you know, call out our bullshit or maybe come up with better ideas than we can, and I'm open to that. You know, I'm going to have call-ins going within the next few weeks. I actually have to buy a new mixer in order to do that, but that's coming. And that's really what I'm going for. I want to, you know, hear everybody's opinion, or at least freedom people. Like, if you support the state, I don't give a fuck what you think, and you just get away from me now. But
your opinion just doesn't matter.
No, if you want violence invoked against me, no, your opinion does not matter. Right?
Nope.
If I come up to you and I say, and I point a gun at you, and I'm like, hey, give me 40% of everything you own, you're probably not going to like me very much, right? Because that's what the state does, and they do it.
I'd probably flip that gun around and put it down your throat.
Fucking right on, and you should. But that's what the state does every day, and that's what people who support the state advocate every day. So, you know, just can't do it. I know I keep saying that, man, but I just can't do this anymore.
Dude, I really think that a lot of people just don't see it that way. Like, yes, they are promoting violence against you, but I'm telling you, in their go to work, come home, watch TV mindset, that's not what they're thinking about. They just think that they're doing their patriotic duty as American and they're paying their taxes and all is well. They don't think about it. You know, you and I, we've gone down the rabbit hole already. A lot of these people are still stuck in the matrix, man. They just don't see it as inciting violence. And
I don't know if you actually
change.
I don't know if you actually used this word. It kind of cut for a sec, but it made it sound like you said dutyism, and I thought that was funny. Yeah. Well, right. You know my thoughts on intentions, and that's exactly where I'm going to take this. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't care what you think. Like, when Ryan and I were helping fucking invade countries, did the fact that we think we were, you know, promoting freedom and bringing democracy to this and liberation to Afghanistan or whatever, does that really matter? Does it matter if the cop thinks he's doing a good job when he shoots your dog in the fucking head? Don't think so.
No, but you've had the enlightening. Ryan's had the enlightening. So have I. These people who don't, they haven't been there yet. They haven't even taken that first step. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not arguing.
Totally. No, if you disagree, argue. That's like the point of the show. Like, a debate is what I'm going for.
Right.
And I do understand what you're saying. I totally do. Like, they don't understand that they're advocating violence against me. They think that they're doing virtuous actions, right? However, I don't give a fuck what you think. If you are advocating violence against me and pointing guns at me and stealing my stuff, I don't care what you think. I understand they're indoctrinated and lied to and to believe the legitimacy of government, right? But I don't care. They're pointing guns at me. I don't care what they think. Like, I just made the rationale to Ryan, and this is what we're logically talking about. If I come to your fucking house and point a gun at you, your kid, and your wife, and I say, give me 40% of your stuff or I fucking kill you, you're not going to be nice to me, John.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Well, you did. You did.
Maybe I'm just not wording it right. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just direct, man. I don't have a fucking filter, and I'm just fed up with this. So, you know.
I'm not defending it by any means. If that's what you think. I'm just saying, you know.
Well, you're kind of making excuses for them, I think.
Well, yeah, maybe I am. But.
And it is a valid excuse. Don't take me the wrong way. I used to be a slave. Ryan used to be a slave. You used to be a slave. We happened to carry guns for the state, but whatever. Like, we all used to advocate violence against everybody and dropping bombs all over, well, everywhere. And
yep.
Like, I understand that there's a process that you have to go through. I'm still going through it. We all are, right? It's never changing process.
Oh yeah, it's a never ending. Yeah.
But I'm not pointing guns at anybody, man. I'm not trying to force anybody to give me their stuff. I'm not trying to force anybody to do a goddamn thing. I'm not trying to prevent anybody from doing anything. And everybody else is trying to do that to me.
So I'm saying when I was a statist, I never thought of paying taxes as guns to your head, even though that's what it is. You're being threatened with, you know, if you don't pay your taxes, men with guns will show up to haul you off to jail or whatever it is. But it never entered my mind. It was just, oh, derp, you pay your taxes, and if you don't, you go to jail. That's just the way it is because a greater good and all that. And it wasn't until, you know, I started really reading into libertarianism and going down the so-called rabbit hole with you and everybody else that you start to really see, like, holy shit, yeah, this is violence. This is, if you don't pay your taxes, men with guns will show up to take you away. That is the bottom line. But you don't see it that way as a statist. And until everybody has that awakening, we're going to be stuck here. And like I said earlier in the beginning of the program, it's tough to wake other people up. A lot of people like the Matrix and they're comfortable and they just want to sit there and, you know.
What's that Morpheus quote? Like, they're not ready to be unplugged, and they're so dependent on the system that they will physically defend it or whatever.
Yeah, and you can see that when you argue with, like, say, troop supporter.
Dude, you're talking to two veterans right now. We know.
Yeah, no.
We're well aware.
I'm also trying to talk to the audience too. Anybody listening, like, you see this when you argue with troop supporters.
Yeah, I mean, that cognitive dissonance.
I'm sure Michael could agree with me that I have lost many prior veteran friends based on stuff that I've posted. You know, I'm saying just on the internet and even in real life, there's quite a few people that just will not talk to me anymore because I dare say that they're not heroes, you know? And they're like, well, you did it too. It's like, yeah, I'm aware of that, and I'm not fucking proud of it, honestly.
Yeah, I get threatened on, like, a bi-hourly basis, man. Yeah, I can agree with you. There's, like, 3 veterans from our unit now, like 2, who haven't blocked me yet. And that's cool. Like again, I understand the cognitive dissonance. I understand that desire to want to believe, well, you know, what's not true, but because it makes you feel better, right? Like, I totally understand that. But it's just the way that it goes, man. But yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, if you start to shake shit up, like people generally don't like activists, right? I don't exactly hold signs in the streets. I don't beg for fucking permission from the government. But, you know, if somebody's out there holding a sign like, hey, end war or whatever, people don't really like that. People think you're some kooky, crazy person and you should probably go get a job, or I don't know, get off welfare, you lazy bastard, like, whatever it is, right?
I get called a hippie on a daily basis, honestly. So
sure, if you're not getting called both a liberal and a libtard and a conservatard, you're doing it wrong.
I get called a hippie, and I'm 6'5", 340 pounds and drives a lifted truck and has a lot of guns. I mean,
reformed
come on.
hardcore fucking neocon conservative. You're
Exactly.
not a hippie, man. You might be many things, but hippie is not one of them. Douchebag, maybe. Fucking scumbag.
I accept
sure.
that.
Yeah. Not hippie. No. Welfare whore, fucking killer, like horrible, horrible names. But hippie is just not one of
Nope.
them. So guys, I do appreciate you coming on, but we are actually a little bit past schedule. It is already 9:15.
Wow.
So
I want you guys to plug yourself. You got a minute each. Plug yourself as hard as you can. Go.
John started off.
Just the owner of New Sons and Daughters of Liberty on Facebook. When you look for us, there's a couple of pages with the same name. Clearly, my page is not the one with the magic piece of paper on it. Mine is the one with the black and yellow background. So don't get that confused.
All right.
I co-run a page called Ending Modern Slavery. You can go on there. I post under the name Drago West due to, actually from my military days, we're being the largest white blonde dude they ever saw. They named me after the guy that Sylvester Stallone fought in Rock 2, I think. So yeah, Ending Modern Slavery. Go check that out. Like it.
Right on. All right. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely have you both back in the future.
Right on.
Cool.
I guess.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I guess you guys can find me at Abolishing Authority on Facebook.com/Abolishing Authority, on YouTube.com/user/Michael Freeman. You can catch me on the ConsciousResistanceNetwork.com, or I'm sorry, theconsciousresistance.com, or on Facebook and Twitter at the Conscious Resistance Network.